Hello and welcome to another edition of Check It Out. All right, today, check it out. I've got my Toyota Tacoma 1998 4-cylinder engine, and I'm going to show you how to change out the power steering fluid. And I just did it, and I'm going to show you tips and tricks and show you how I did it. So let's come on over here, and I have my manual. I have some automatic transmission fluid. This is the Dexron 6, and this is the power steering fluid that I was told to purchase from AutoZone. Be careful. That's not what to use. So be careful. Don't get started yet. All right. Got my manual right here. Make sure you have your manual. So much good stuff in here. And right here it says steering, power steering fluid type, automatic transmission fluid, Dexron 2 or 3. So the more research I do, the more I'm finding out that this is not automatic transmission fluid. This is power steering fluid. And while that does seem kind of obvious, what is kind of weird is that a lot of the Toyotas and some other vehicles are using automatic transmission fluid for the power steering fluid. So they told me, two different guys told me to use this, and I asked a couple experts, and they're saying, no, do not use this power steering fluid. This is not going to work well with these Toyota Tacomas and several other engines by Toyota. But anyway, so the big thing is here, just double check your manual, make sure you're using the right stuff. Well, here's what's hard too, is I went down to AutoZone again to say, hey, I need Dexron 2 or 3. And they're saying, we don't really have that, but we have all these different Dexrons from 4 all the way up to like, I don't know, 11 or something like that. So I'm trying to figure out which one it is. One person is saying just get Dexron 5 or 4. But when I turned those bottles over, they didn't seem to be the right ones. It looks to me, this is Dexron 6, and it looks to me like this is the correct one. And it says right there, this fluid is also suitable for use when Dexron 2 or Dexron 3 and for, well, a few others. But the main point is Dexron 2, Dexron 3. This guy is right here is stating automatic transmission fluid, Dexron 2 or 3. So this appears to be the right transmission fluid to use for your power steering Toyota Tacoma 1998 4-cylinder. So double check, make sure you've got the right one there. This right here is not what to use. All right, so here's what I did. I've got my turkey baster, gloves. Boy, that's worth $11 down there at AutoZone. And get a towel and get something to put your old fluid into. And all you're going to do is this. And by the way, if you lost your manual, check out on the caps right here, and you'll probably find that it tells you what to use. Use Dexron type ATF, automatic transmission fluid. So if you have lost the manual, just check that out on the power steering. All right, and here's my advice to you. Get a towel. Put that towel right next to this guy because it's going to do a little drip in here. And then get your container, whatever you're going to use here. And help out your recycle center. If you label it as power steering fluid, I know that helps them a bunch. I just kind of laid it like that. Get your turkey baster like this guy right here. Open this guy up. And then here's a big tip for you on these older vehicles especially. This kind of a reservoir has a screen in it that sits right about down here. And this screen is kind of a fine mesh that gets clogged up. So when you go to soak it up, you don't want to push hard on that screen, but just kind of put just a little bit of pressure on it as you're soaking up that fluid. And the second thing is, if you kind of swirl it so that you are touching different parts of that screen as you're letting up and soaking up that old transmission fluid, now you are pulling up some of those particles that may have been stuck to that filter. So instead of just sticking it in and just pressing up, kind of go in slowly, right? And then kind of wiggle it around on that screen while you slowly suck up that old fluid. There it is there. I just changed it. That's why it's looking pretty good. But what you want to do is this. It'll take you about 10 to 15 of these guys. And just obviously you're going to pull that out. You're going to pump it into here. And about 10 to 15 times and it'll be dry. And then you're going to go get that. You're going to go get this stuff right here. Dexron 6. And you're just going to pour it into here. And each time, it's going to use about a third of this each time you do that. So I did it 3 times. Between each time, put the cap back on, close up the vehicle, and go take it around the block. And try to find a spot where you can go real slow and kind of turn it lock to lock. And you could also do this by jacking up the car, but seems to me like it's easier to just go around the block a couple times. And you'll see that this fluid is back and kind of dirty again. That lets you know it's kind of circulating in there. So anyway, the big tip is make sure you use the right fluid. Don't make that mistake. And the second big tip is there's a screen in this type of a reservoir. Make sure that as you're soaking up and pulling up all that stuff, that you're kind of going around the screen, trying to suck as much of that junk off that screen as possible. All right, guys, listen, hit subscribe, hit like. Thank you so much, and leave a comment. See ya.